Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. Let's begin with the word association game, shall we? Tulsa King, Mobland, Bar Rescue, CSI Saskatoon, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Yes, the common theme is Paramount, because beginning in 2026, the UFC's United States home for streaming and TV is Paramount Plus. Massive news dropping this morning. 13 numbered events. Notice how I phrase that. 13 numbered events. 30 fight night cards, all exclusively streaming on Paramount Plus. And as big as that news is, remember how I just called them numbered events a few seconds ago? These numbered events are no longer pay-per-view events. Beginning in 2026, the pay-per-view model will be no more for the UFC. It will be an all-encompassing package, a la the WWE Peacock model to some degree at the premium events. 7-year deal, average annual value of $1.1 billion per year. And wow, absolutely wow. Hat is off. If I didn't have headset on, I would take my hat off to the UFC. I would take my hat off to Paramount, who storms the damn castle at the last minute. I didn't even think they were a top 5 player in this conversation, but here we are, Paramount Plus, standing at the top of the podium with the gold medal. So much to talk about here. I am Mike Heckett. Joining me to react to this news, my best friend, Mr. Alexander K. Lee. AK, good morning. It's nice to wake up and hear the birds singing, the sun shining, and a new UFC TV deal in place here in the United States, right?
This is crazy. I guess the timing isn't like that strange. I think we knew. I believe the last update we got from Ari or Mark or Shapiro, whoever it is, I forget. That's always doing the talking. Is that they said end of summer, and we're getting there, right? So it wasn't surprising that the news was going to come. But yes, here you go. You wake up on a Monday morning and you get this whopper of a deal. Paramount Plus. We actually don't even have that in Canada, so that's kind of interesting. I'll talk more about sort of the implications for Canadians later. We don't have a lot of details there yet, obviously. And I would always say follow the great Aaron Bronstetter on Twitter, who's obviously locked in. He works for Sportsnet, has a good relationship with the UFC. If there's any update on that front, as far as like major implications for us up north, that's probably the guy to go to. But I'm definitely keeping my eye on that. Man, Mike, when Damon and I were sort of calculating odds for this. We did an odds article back in April. Obviously, Netflix was the leader. I think we had ESPN second, just staying home where they are. Amazon Prime was up there. We had Paramount as like part of the field. We did like the field at the end, and that was like plus 2,000 odds. So, not totally insane. Like any player with money, we obviously said certainly has a possibility, but we were almost joking about Paramount. I wrote this. I said, it'd be funny if they teamed up with Paramount because, one, that's where Bellator MMA went to die. And two, because Paramount, as a lot of people have noted on social media, this is the funny joke now, Paramount was Spike TV. This is they are back at one of their former homes, which is just so hilarious. And yeah, did not see this one coming at all. Again, it had it as part of the field. We didn't even give it its own write-up. We had it with a bunch of other networks.
So obviously that's a massive deal and it came out of nowhere. But I guess one of the things that was really surprising about this is not just Paramount. It's the fact that I think we all sort of predicted, a lot of the fan base and a lot of us talking on our shows, that when they sign this new deal, it's going to be like WWE, right? It's not just going to be one network. It's going to be multiple networks. We're going to have maybe pay-per-views on one side. We'll have some fight nights over here, and maybe the Apex cards over here, along with the Ultimate Fighter and the Contender Series and ancillary programming, and then maybe the libraries on another different channel. Like, they just spread it out in so many different ways. But to see one entity just come out and no Netflix, no ESPN, at least as of right now. Are you surprised that it didn't go to multiple players, that it was just one entity stepping in and just saying, you want 7.7 billion UFC? That's our offer. Take it or leave it.
I'm really surprised. Maybe, especially because we just saw sort of how WWE was handled. And don't get me wrong, they're very different products. they're very different products in, as far as how they're broadcast, how they're formatted. Obviously, the fan base is very, very different. You know, WWE has like 5 different shows a week, so it kind of made more sense for them to diversify. Like, oh, here's where Raw's going to land, here's where SmackDown's going to land. Because I think I had to look up some information here. Raw is on Netflix, of course. There's a huge 10-year, $5 billion deal. So compare that to UFC, right? 7 years and $7 million. So UFC's getting $1 billion per year. We thought the Raw deal was massive, which it was, and now that's already kind of been beat by the UFC situation. But again, it is a different thing we're talking about here. SmackDown's on NBC Universal or something. PLEs will now be on premium live events. By the way, guys, get used to that, MMA fans, because like Mike said, supposedly no more pay-per-views in the US. These are now, I think, will be going forward as like premium live events or PLEs or whatever. I think we're all going to keep calling them pay-per-views for a while, just out of habit. Anyway, the W ones ended up on the new ESPN direct streaming, one of their other direct streaming things. And NXT's on CW, I think that's still a thing. So
yep,
it made a lot of sense for WWE to do this. I thought it would have made sense for UFC too, but when you think about it, they don't have quite as many distinct brands, right? It's like they could have put Contender Series and like Ultimate Fighter on something. They could have divided their Fight Night events and their pay-per-view events. They could have even split up some of their Fight Night events, right? Because we have Apex events and we have road shows. Like, you know, they had UFC on ABC events when they were in their previous broadcast deal. So yes, I'm definitely surprised they didn't go that route. But if one person does offer you this lump sum for all this content, it's really good for you. And Mike, we're crossing our fingers. Sounds like it's, from everything we heard from today's announcement, it sounds like it's good for the fans, right? I think.
Yeah. I mean, look, AK, no pay-per-view. And I obviously have questions about this because if you're a fan, you're loving this, right? I think right now, as I look at it, I do have Paramount Plus. It's like one of those things. I see those commercials for the apps that's like, hey, if you download this app, you can see like all the streaming services you have, even the ones you forgot about. And I think Paramount Plus is like one of the streaming services I have that I completely forgot about. But I believe it's like $9.99 a month with ads, and it's $12.99 without.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume the prices are going to go up here. Like more so maybe the $12.99 one, I would assume, because I know with the $12.99 one, if you want to watch like golf on CBS, like the Sunday final round, like you have to have the premium service in order to do that. But even so, whatever, if it goes up to $15.99 or $19.99 a month, or even like $24.99 a month, who cares? Because it's still so much better than paying at minimum $100 a month, sometimes almost $200 a month for UFC content. Because if you have 2 pay-per-view, like October is after taxes, $85 plus the monthly. I mean, that's almost $200 to watch the UFC in October. So this is a huge win for the fans. No doubt about it. How do you think the fighters are feeling about this? And how do you think maybe like Dricus du Plessis is feeling about this? Because he's about to headline UFC 319. It's going to be a huge event. I think this is going to do great on ESPN Plus pay-per-view buy-wise because of the names attached. And if DDP beats Hamzat or vice versa, his next fight is going to be gigantic, no matter who the opponent is. And now there's no pay-per-view points to be had. And I'm not saying that the UFC on average is selling 500,000 pay-per-views. I don't think probably any of the pay-per-views they did this year, maybe outside of UFC 317, did 500,000. Or yeah, the Ilia Topuria headline, the International Fight Week card probably did close to that. Maybe 314 because that card was stacked, but none of the other ones even came close to that. But still, 250,000 pay-per-view buys, getting points on top of each buy, like that could turn out to a nice big fat paycheck. So once you become champion and you start defending your belt, that's when you start making money. Pay-per-view points are just a big piece of that formula. How are the fighters feeling about this? How are the current champions feeling about no longer having the pay-per-view model?
Mike, I thought we were focusing on the positive. We were all getting along so well. I thought we were all just.
I mean, look,
trumpeting this magical new deal.
The answer could be positive.
It could be.
Like this could be a positive thing. Yeah. Like you wrestle, like the WWE wrestlers, like when they would wrestle at WrestleMania, they got payouts based on attendance and pay-per-view buys. So they're making like big, huge checks. That's why everybody wanted to be on WrestleMania. And now like everybody is on WrestleMania, but it's part of the Peacock deal. So I'm sure the payouts are handled differently, but you didn't hear like a ton of wrestlers like openly complain about it. So how do you think they're feeling right now? Are their agents on the phone with UFC brass right now?
Man, it's tough because I can't, we don't know exactly what these UFC contracts look like, and I would hope there was some sort of contingency in there for a situation like this, especially anyone who signed a contract in the past 2 years, right? Because people knew the broadcasting deal was coming up. So, and I don't know what that contingency could be. I highly doubt the UFC would ever allow for something like, well, we signed this. If we're going to sign this $1 billion per year deal, your fighter will get a such and such and such pay bump. But there has to be something. Honestly, if you're a manager or a fighter again, and you signed something with the UFC in the recent years, I hope you had the foresight to know that they were going to sign a new massive deal once they were done with ESPN. So that's really the only hope for them. The pay-per-view points thing was already kind of like, once we moved to ESPN Plus and long ago stopped sort of getting the results, like getting reported results of how many pay-per-view buys the shows were doing, it was already becoming a risky proposition, because I guarantee you, if we in the media don't know what those numbers are, a lot of the managers and fighters are probably left in the dark too. UFC and ESPN, whoever's involved, kind of the bean counters up there, are not in any rush to say, oh, let's make sure everyone gets all the information they need regarding the. No, they have no reason to do that. So already you guys know, we don't know what the average pay-per-view numbers were for the past year. Like Mike said, it's probably dwindled, right? It's probably dropped down a bit. Probably 500, 600,000 is probably the new upper tier. There was a time when they had like a McGregor and a John Jones and guys like that, and who could do like, $1 million, over $1 million, close to $1.5 million. We're probably far from that, but hopefully guys are getting something. Now we don't know. Now, again, a thing that was already not guaranteed for the fighters is completely up in the air. So that's a very scary thing. Yeah, you have to feel for guys like DDP, Ilya Topuria, guys who are really starting to come up as draws, and guys who should be entitled to significantly more money than your average athlete. I don't know, but they deserve a big chunk of this pie, because all the fighters do, because this $7.7 billion deal doesn't happen without them. So, listen, I see a few comments on social media, of course, asking these questions, but I feel like we've been asking these questions for a long time. I don't know if it's going to make any sort of dent in the decision making. But if I'm some of these, especially bigger name fighters, you guys got to get on the line and talk to somebody. Also, you guys have a platform this week. I don't know if I expect DDP to comment on it publicly, but we got media day, we got a public press conference. I would love to see someone rock the boat. They may want to keep. I think King Green's on the prelims, right? Because obviously, if he's on the main card, you might want to keep him off a live mic this week. You might want to keep King Green away from a mic.
Yes. Who knows? Maybe Carlos Diego Ferreira is feeling a certain way about this if he wins. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. It's just, there's a couple of things that kind of stood out about all this. One is that it's just such a full circle moment for not only the UFC but the sport too, because CBS was like the only like real primetime cable network that was like, you know what, we'll take a chance on this mixed martial arts stuff and this barbaric cage fighting thing with Elite XC. And they were doing all these different things. And they were like the first to step up and air MMA on a major network, on a major platform. And then when the UFC signed their like first actual TV deal, like you said, it was with Spike TV, formerly the Nashville network, TNN. And that's where we got the Ultimate Fighter. We got some of the Fight Night cards and all this. And now we're back home. And it's kind of weird to think about it, AK. A full circle moment for the UFC and the sport of MMA in terms of broadcast.
If only Kimbo Slice could be here. I mean,
we
say this all the time. Kimbo just missed out on such a strange, like, people didn't realize how much his existence and career foreshadowed like the direction that combat sports would go. Like, he would be the #1 name in influencer boxing right now if that were a thing. He would have fought Jake Paul twice, but if Kimbo Slice was still alive. And it would be such a strange moment because he was a huge part of that CBS deal. At one point, the most watched MMA event in the United States was, I think it was the Kimbo Slice James Thompson. It was one of those Kimbo Slice fights. That's absurd to me. And again, that number at the time was maybe like 5 million. Which was huge, a huge number at the time. Now I don't know. Like, I don't even know how to frame this. It's such a bizarre and oddly poetic thing because we joke about it being Spike TV and being the national network, and obviously it's gone through so many permutations. It's like it's barely recognizable anymore. It's become this premium streaming service and all this. But it is incredible, and why it's so important. Like why we always tell you guys and I'm not speaking to everyone here. I know a lot of our listeners and our viewers are like, people have been watching for like 20 years, like really dedicated fans. But there's some newer fans who aren't aware of the history of these things. And like, guys, it is important to go back and look at not just like ESPN. Look at the Fox era. Look at again the Spike era. Look at before that. Look at the dark ages of when the UFC couldn't even get on pay-per-view, when UFC was going like releasing events on like VHS. It's an insane story. And we criticize the business a lot. We criticize Dana White, criticize the UFC. But to see how far this industry has come within 30 years is unprecedented. Everything moves faster now. That's a fact. Like, you can't compare it to say, oh, it took the NBA this many decades, or it took the NFL this many decades to reach this level. Everything moves faster now. I get it. But even taking that into consideration, where the UFC was once upon a time in the dark ages to becoming a company now with a $7.7 billion broadcasting deal, a deal that like is probably, I've seen people refer to this as like maybe a lost leader, Mike, for Paramount Plus. Like, this may be just to make Paramount Plus a much stronger brand. For one, it is now the UFC's. Let me put it this way: the UFC is a much stronger brand than Paramount Plus. Like, this is the UFC essentially lifting up Paramount Plus. So while Paramount Plus may at the end not recoup the $7.7 billion investment directly from their association with the UFC, if this gets more subscriptions, if this gets more eyeballs, if this gets people talking about Paramount Plus the same way they talk about ESPN, the same way they talk about Netflix, unlikely, but you get what I'm saying. If we're getting closer to that sphere, then for Paramount Plus, it's good. It, hopefully pushes some of their other original programming, maybe then bring some other live sports on. So in that sense, it makes sense. Mike, we talked a bit earlier about the subscription, $9.99 with ads, $12.99 without less ads, fewer ads. Do you think that they'll increase the $12.99 or they'll add more tiers? No, but do you think they'll add more tiers instead? Like a sports, they'll have $12.99 like as they have it now, and they say, but now we have this additional sports programming. That's the $24.99 tier, which obviously includes UFC. Is that a chance? Like, just give more options, or?
It's possible. I can assure you that the UFC deal, like being able to access UFC content, is not going to cost you $12.99. So whether they just increase that deal, or they add like the super duper plus the ultimate package.
Oh, there it is.
Right, the ultimate package for $30 a month, which I think is, again, $30 a month seems high, but compared to what you're paying now, that's more than 50% less than what you're paying now to watch pay-per-views and all of that. So all the events on Paramount Plus you get everything else. Tulsa King is probably the funniest show that has ever existed. So if you've never watched Tulsa King, it is tremendously funny. And then Bar Rescue is always great. And if you want to watch John Taffer yell at some fools, like, there's some decent programming on there. Sometimes you'll get to watch the Super Bowl on there, which is also worth the price. Like, it's just a crazy thing, AK. And just think about this too. If you're a cable provider, one of the things that stood out to me was let me pull this up. Starting in 2026, Paramount will exclusively distribute UFC's full slate, 13 marquee numbered events, 30 fight nights via its direct-to-consumer streaming platform. Paramount Plus with select numbered events to be simulcast on CBS, Paramount's leading broadcast network. Imagine watching UFC 330 on freaking CBS, AK. Like, that's wild.
Again, it was crazy when it happened, 20 years ago, with all the Kimbo, Gina Carano, Chris Cyborg. It was crazy back then. It was such a weird moment. And it's funny that we've come so far, but you're right, Mike. It's going to feel weird again, like in a different way. Like, we are all used to seeing, MMA on television now. You can flick on any channel and, you might catch some MMA or shows with MMA related plots. But yes, after all this, to see it on CBS is what else is on? What does CBS airs at the NFL as well in the US? What do you guys got? What's CBS? What else they got on there? Hockey? No. How do you guys watch hockey in the US?
They're big with like the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, of course, yes, of course. Yeah.
Damn. They do some golf events. I mean, they air sports, baby.
And now UFC.
Now the UFC.
That is weird. That you just, when you lined it up like that sounds strange.
But it's only gonna be select events. Like, I see some people like it's not all pay-per-views are gonna air on CBS, but let's just say hypothetically they go to the White House. You bet your sweet ass that card is gonna be on CBS. That is gonna be on CBS. So
Yeah.
like the massive ones will probably be on CBS. So
yeah, they'll make use of it. I was trying. You're right. I was trying to compare it to like because what do they use the UFC on ABC designation for now? They've done it for like a couple of like Abu Dhabi events for like quote unquote UFC on ABCs. And I think you're right. It'll be different though. I don't think that's what they're going to do with the CBS events, but we don't know. There's a lot.
It'll be the same. Like because you can watch like with the ABC events, you can watch everything on ESPN Plus. Like all those events. Like sure, it's going to air on ABC, but it's all on ESPN Plus. It'll be the same with this. Like even the CBS ones, even the pay-per-views, you can watch them on Paramount Plus, or you can watch it on CBS.
What's on ESPN Plus now? Like
shows 30 for 30s, occasional regional sports.
They have no WWE stuff on there, right? There's
no. But again, but the whole model is switching. So like it's going to be a new streaming service for ESPN. So
That's right.
So which brings me to my next question, AK, and this might be the most important question for you. Does this deal signify the end of the Ultimate Fighter? Or are we shopping this baby around? Because that's one thing that was missed from this press release. Ultimate Fighter, Contender Series, Fight Library. I'm shocked Power Slap was not part of this deal. Like I'm not even saying that jokingly. I am stunned that Power Slap is not part of this deal for $1.1 billion a year. I thought, knowing Dana White and how passionate he is about this silly sport, that he wasn't going to sign a deal, like an exclusive deal, without Power Slap being part of it. So I'm a little surprised there. But Power Slap is probably going to be sold as well. Tough. Contender Series, which Dana will never get rid of Contender Series. Probably won't get rid of Tough either. The Fight Library. Is ESPN still in play for those? Like, these are still going to happen, right? They're just going to sell them to another outlet, correct?
Yeah, you guys have Fight Pass too, right? In the US still.
Yeah, I love Fight Pass.
Okay, so you still have that's all the regional shows, and do you guys have the Fight Library on there? Or is it only on ESPN Plus?
Fight Library is on there. That's where I watch all my fights. Is on.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm looking at everything through the lens of like the Canadian viewership right now, and not much is going to change for us as far as we know, which might be bad because I think to all my Canadian viewers out there, looks like we're going to be paying for pay-per-view still for the foreseeable future, but we'll see if they work out some other. Like you said, Mike, there's still dealings to be done. Today's press release vaguely kind of referred to they are still working on several international deals. I know Rodrigo Del Campo, the great Rodrigo, he's was talking about how it's going to affect like Latin American broadcasting because they don't even have Paramount Plus. I think he said, like in Mexico, Paramount Plus died there a long time ago. So I think they're in the same situation as us a little bit. I think they might be paying for some pay-per-views. I'm speaking out of my butt here, but guys, follow Rodrigo on Twitter as well. If you're in that region and wondering what's going to happen to your UFC broadcasting rights, follow him. He's probably digging for answers as we speak. But yeah, it's funny because depending where you go, all this stuff is going to be different. Contender Series and the Ultimate Fighter, like I just think it makes sense if Paramount Plus is shelling out the $7.7 billion to make that part of the package. But you're right, it was not explicitly mentioned, nor was Power Slap, surprisingly. I have to wonder if I would be surprised if they still maintain some sort of relationship with ESPN. Not because it's like sour. I just think you kind of need a clean break branding wise. I think it's a little confusing for people if you have this huge deal with Paramount Plus and then you're still, and then people are still confused like, wait, this is still like Contender Series, Paramount Plus, and Ultimate Fighter and this stuff. So are there still going to be other shows? It's a bit of brand confusion there. They definitely, when they were doing negotiations, like when people said ESPN looked to be out of the running and everyone assumed it was Netflix, like UFC, I think they never said like they're done with ESPN. So it's certainly possible. I don't think there's any ill will there. It was a very fruitful 7-8 year deal for both organizations, right? Now, what does make sense then for Contender Series or the Ultimate Fighter? Mike, do you think the Ultimate Fighter could end up on like some sort of CBS, because CBS has separate sports channels. Do they have CBS Sports, or is it just CBS? Don't they have some sort of separate thing?
Yeah, I wonder. CBS Sports. That's right. Like Invicta's on CBS Sports right now.
I'm just saying, Ultimate Fighter on CBS Sports would be pretty great. Contender Series on CBS Sports, why not?
But that would be part of the deal, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Maybe it's not finalized yet. Or maybe again they just wanted to focus on guys can find the press releases out there everywhere. It's on MMAfighting.com. It's everywhere. Maybe they just want to focus strictly on letting people know about the events and about the PLEs and not, again, confuse all that other stuff.
Contender Series starts tomorrow.
Yes.
So it'd be like a good thing to, maybe announce the future of the program, right?
Maybe they will on Contender Series.
Oh,
you want to know the future of
in.
Contender Series? You got to watch Contender Series. Come on, Mike. You don't give it away for free. There's going to be a lot. I mean, we've got that. The Ultimate Fighter finale is also Tuesday night. And then the season finale, I should say. And then the fights are on the UFC 319 card. So we're going to get a lot of information this week. I mean, there's a lot of chances for the UFC to speak to the media and kind of inform them, but it's just the beginning of a huge week for them. And just what a big win! What a big win for the UFC as they are constantly doing whatever happens with the remaining programming they have left. It's all gravy from here, Mike.
Yeah, man. Pretty wild. We'll see what happens. Maybe it ends up on YouTube. ESPN may want to stick around. Who knows? Like, they could still do some stuff with ESPN and have a desk there and make it part of the Sports Center library. Like, there's still plenty of stuff you could do with all this. So massive news. If you're just joining us and you have no idea what the hell is happening, the UFC has announced their new deal, the streaming rights deal, the TV deal. It is done. 43 events, all on Paramount Plus. Plus, there'll be some cards on CBS that will be simulcast there. Just massive, huge news. No more pay-per-views. They're done. It's going to be all part of this one gigantic ultimate package that we will figure out what the price is and how that's going to look sooner rather than later. So great for the fans. We'll see how it affects the fighters and all of that. But I do want to go to the peeps and see what they have to say. We do have a couple of super chats. If you want to have your voice heard, make sure you check them in the super chats. It's 800 million comments going on right now. And going through them all is going to be a pain in the arse, as they say. Dave, what are the chances TKO boxing goes to ESPN now? That was not part of the deal.
It's not.
I saw some boxing writers tweet this out, being like, "Yeah, no shit." They would have mentioned the boxing deal was part of it if it was part of it, but it's not. They're going to try to shop that to somebody else. So I don't. Top Rank is done, I believe, at ESPN. So
yeah,
they're looking for a boxing entity. So perhaps this fills the gap for ESPN. Maybe, I don't know.
I'm curious. I think I saw Dan Raphael tweet earlier. He put out a number. I think it was Dan Raphael who said they originally passed. Yes, they had a deal with Top Rank. They didn't renew, and that was reportedly for $80 million a year. So they passed on a very established boxing brand at $80 million a year. I'm curious if they go with TKO, what kind of number TKO can get out of them. But so far, again, apparently they are monsters at the negotiating table. So if they could get like $100 million a year for TKO boxing, that would be truly crazy. But like I said, the number is apparently set at 80. They didn't want, or maybe I should say the other way. Maybe they need to go in for cheaper, but I sincerely doubt that. I think they'll try to go for more. I really wonder where they're going to go with that. Yeah, the TKO boxing.
I wonder how ESPN feels today in general. Because, like, look at all the moves they made. They made some cuts. They ended some very popular programming. You see some of the investments they're making with the NFL Red Zone Network. And, they signed some very popular social media influencers to their team. And they made a lot of changes. And it just seemed like now they're doing the WWE deal. It seemed like they were kind of moving some things around in order to stick with this UFC deal or to go try to maybe go all in on it. So I'm curious to how they're feeling about this, but again, maybe they still get tough and maybe they get the boxing deal. So yeah, what a day. I know Damon Martin is like losing his mind like right now. He loves this stuff. This is his jam. Spencer, maybe the best UFC news I've seen in my time as an MMA fan. I literally canceled that dog poop app ESPN Plus today and prayed to Zeus you won't have to use it again. I mean, you probably shouldn't cancel it today because there's still stuff to watch.
Yeah, wait, why would you?
The news start tomorrow. You're not watching UFC 319 on Paramount Plus. You still have to do the usual way for the rest of the year.
I mean, when you cancel, don't you still have access to the end of the month? I don't know how these things.
Oh, that's a great
maybe.
point,
okay. But you're right though. But even then, you're right though. It's not starting in September.
No UFC for you, Spencer. Sorry.
UFC 320. Tom Aspinall's back. Spencer, you got to unless he's suggesting that he's canceling for now, and then we'll watch through nefarious means for the next few months. But no one would do that, guys. I mean, guys in the comments, I know you're all reacting to this with like, oh, well, this is going to change our, our viewing habits because I never stream events. So, would never suggest that.
All right, let's go through the billions and billions of comments.
Yeah,
a lot of people talking about Paramount Plus not being a terrific app to use.
Oh no. And people hated ESPN Plus. People, we never had to deal with that in Canada. We don't have ESPN Plus up here. But I know you guys, when you're watching pay-per-views, would always be talking about like the events like rewinding and just like cutting out, and that's not good.
That Paramount membership going to be just as much of a pay-per-view.
No way.
Freaking way.
No way. Look, guys, look at what WWE did when they sort of did a similar move a long time ago and started streaming and not doing like they just relied on subscriptions and again other revenue streams, right? That's the whole thing. That's a big business buzzword, right? Is what revenue streams you can come up with. Pay-per-view is just one of them. So if you can find others and then cut out pay-per-view, then you'll be fine. So it's not going to be cheap, guys. Watching this stuff is never going to be cheap, but it will not be. They're not going to charge you $70, $80 for the subscription. It just it would totally kill the deal. Like they would lose so much money if they try to do that.
Also, a very interesting question from Rob here. What does this mean for UFC personalities like DC and Cruz and the like? Now, Cruz, I believe, is kind of like an ESPN employee because he does do like some breakdowns on their channels and such. And DC does the show with Chael. So I wonder what that means for them. So that is like an interesting thing that I didn't really think about. I'm sure they'll both be part of the broadcast teams when they head over to Paramount Plus. I'm sure there's no doubt about that. Well, what does this mean? What would you like to see, AK, from these fighters on this new network? And what do we say? Or maybe it doesn't mean anything to them. Maybe ESPN sticks around and does different kinds of stuff.
Would I never want to hear DC on commentary again? Boy, what a question. But no, speaking objectively, and I know they have their fans, and also, you never want to see anyone get put out of work that way. Especially retired fighters, right? Who've given us so much, and I think they deserve their chance to have to be able to still work in the industry and not necessarily get punched in the face anymore. I think when major network changes like this happen, there can be like a transference of contracts, but it's definitely an individual thing. I don't think UFC can, and ESPN can just work out this thing. We're like, oh, all the guys we had with you, can they just come over? So you probably, I'm not gonna even try and pick out names like who's who, but like there probably will be voices that were at the ESPN desk and what have you that like you just won't see them anymore, or until they'll have to work out some other deal. I have a feeling DC will still be part of broadcast in a major way. I think he is one of the guys that they will try and figure things out with ESPN and say, hey, we want him to be part of the Paramount Plus family, MMA family. What do we got to do? Blah, blah, work this out. There's ways to make this happen, but it won't be everyone. So I guess it's good news for some people. If you're not a fan of a lot of the ESPN people, the fighters they've been using for ESPN commentary, analysis, and all that stuff, you might not see some of those people anymore. But there are a lot of talented people that I hope they do bring over. So I am curious. But Paramount and CBS, guys, they have their own broadcasters. They have their own team. So maybe get used to some new faces.
I love this comment. So the South Park logo on the UFC canvas will be
oh boy. We need that episode. Hey, I hope the boys are in the truck already. I hope they saw the news today and say, "Yo, we got to do the episode." UFC.
Episode. It's been in the can for like 3 years. They're just waiting for this deal to happen, and now we can do that. So, more on the broadcast side. Do you think this will have any change of broadcasters? Maybe Paramount will request better. I would say absolutely not. Maybe the desk will change. Maybe there'll be like a desk analyst. Maybe they'll bring in, who knows? Maybe our guy BC will get some reps on some UFC shows since he works for CBS. Like that would be kind of cool.
Yep.
To see that, it'd be amazing to see BC do that. So perhaps that's what they end up doing. But as far as like the commentary and the production, like the UFC is not going to sign this deal without having full control of production. That has always been their MO. They will control how all these shows are produced. Paramount might get to like sit at the table and like have the ability to speak their minds, but they will probably not have any say over how this is produced in any way.
Mike, do you see this comment from Aries Vetter? I believe that's our boy Toke, Aries Vetter.
Oh God, the best matchmaker in the world. Just kidding.
Toke, I hope you listened to this week's no. He's asking, how do UFC sell this as being good for the fighters? Higher minimum contracts, other incentives. They don't have to.
You're insane.
So sell what? So what is the UFC? Here's how the UFC sells themselves to fighters. Hey, we're the UFC. Sign this contract.
Hey, we gave you the we just gave you the chance to fight in front of more eyeballs.
There you go. That's what they've been doing. This is what they've been doing for the past 15 years. They have no incentive to. They don't have to sell anything. Fighters are constantly selling themselves to the UFC, right? That's just how powerful the brand is.
Yeah, they don't need to sell themselves at all. The three letters are the star. Dana is the face of the company. That's it. Look at how Dana presents himself on social media. Like, look who he's hanging out with. Look who he's doing all his media with. Like, it's smart. It's smart.
Imagine some fighter coming on and be like, hey, I just saw this new deal. Listen, are you going to hire minimum contracts? Am I going to get this incentive? They're like, you know what you're doing? You're getting a one-way ticket to Hexagon MMA to go fight Martin Budai. That's what you're getting. So
Octagon MMA, AK.
Octagon. I am so sorry. I got confused because Hexagon just did that sick. They had the sick venue, which was so cool. So anyway, lots of great MMA happening outside of the UFC guys, but not so much that any fighter needs any sort of extra incentive to join the UFC. UFC will be fine, I think.
Spencer, thank you. Boys, you think number cards will go down in quality without UFC needing to sell pay-per-views? Also, this is the best option for growth of the sport. What if that Netflix? I think if you just kind of look back over the last 2 years, the quality of pay-per-view has gone down tremendously. I mean, real bad. I like this card this Saturday. We more so on our shows, AK, we have to defend these cards a lot more than we had to in the past. Like, people are dumping on 319. I actually like 319. 318 was okay. 317 was fine because you had a superstar up top. 314 was great. But the 314s, those cards are like kind of few and far between. But here's the reality of the situation, AK, and this is something we've talked about all the time. The UFC didn't matter how many pay-per-views they sold. This deal with ESPN was just like, hey, just give us the show. We'll put it on our network and we'll pay you a floppity jillion dollars every single event. So it didn't matter if they sold one pay-per-view or sold 1 million pay-per-views. Like, they still got all of that money. And it was a good chunk of change. Like, there was no net zero. There was no losing money for the UFC in any way, shape, or form because of this deal that they had. So now it just takes the pressure, like the additional pressures that they would have with the pay-per-view model, like off the table. It does not matter anymore. So that's good for the UFC. And in terms of like growth of the sport, AK, does this help? I mean, I think it does. Giving it at a lesser price on a network that is growing in popularity because of the silly programs that they have, which are great, by the way.
I think anyone who's ever listened to me talk about MMA knows I always hesitate to call it a sport. I am one of the leaders of the MMA is not a sport sort of movement. Yeah, you guys can boo me. You can throw tomatoes at me. It's fine. I just think the way it is organized at the highest level kind of undercuts its ability to be a sport. Okay. And that doesn't mean it's not amazing. I love MMA, but I love MMA for what it is. I call it a game, maybe a business for sure. So I would like to look at this question as, is this the best option for the growth of the business? Definitely. I mean, certainly you can ask the UFC and everyone, even other organizations, I'm sure like they're not, this does help overall. Like we said, when you see these movements being made, when you see these headlines being made, yeah, it's good for business, good for exposure, it's good for everyone. Not necessarily great for the fighters, as we said in the bottom line, because it just doesn't feel like a lot of them are going to make more money. So in that aspect, that is why I just don't want to say sport, because the sport is not just the UFC, right? If you're talking about, if you really want to treat MMA as a sport, the only way to grow it, not the only way, one way to grow it is that money has to go up for the athletes, and that is just not happening. And no sport can grow without better compensation and better incentives for athletes. It has never happened in history. Again, guys, look at the growth of NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, any sport. The money has to go up if you want the product to get better. That's just how it works. It does not look like the money's going to go up. So I don't know if the product's going to get better. And I don't know if you guys equate that to like not growing. So it's kind of open to interpretation. But what's this one, Mike?
Alan, do you think censorship will increase for fighters since numbered events will be on national TV? No. But just think, like, the cards we're going to get on CBS are not going to feature Sean Strickland.
Yeah, for now, Strickland's Mike,
not fighting on CBS.
For now,
that I can assure you of. I don't think Fluffy Hernandez will be fighting on CBS anytime soon. So they can control like which events go where and all of that stuff. So no, I don't think the censorship will increase at all. Like if they're on CBS and a fighter drops an F-bomb, will the delayed trigger mute button be pushed? Certainly, but no one's going to like get in trouble for it.
we have failed. So we have it on Sportsnet up here, like some of the free events, and they always miss the swear words. Like they try and it's just it's so bad. I think they've got to the point where certain people they go up and they just have it prepared. You just have like half the speech just muted, just in case. But I remember when they first got on Sportsnet. I think the very first week. They were like, I don't know if it was Aaron Bronstead who was like joking, like, yeah, sorry about the language on the Sportsnet. But yeah, so I know I don't think it'll be a big deal for like you said, Mike. Like Mike said, they will be diplomatic in how they employ some of their fighters now, as far as putting them on CBS proper.
This is why Colbert got canceled. All politics.
Yeah, I saw some people draw a connection between like, well, Colbert is kind of critical of the current administration and the current government, and Dana White is buddy with President Trump and the current government and blah blah. So I see some people attaching some strings there, and I don't think it's like crazy, but yes, there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes, guys. I think you're right. You're not crazy to have sort of I won't even say conspiracy theories, like logical theories of why certain business moves are being made. Ooh.
What do Mike and AK think will main event the first Paramount Plus fight night? Did they save Kayla and Amanda for Paramount or CBS?
Joseph Boza, that is such a good suggestion because you get to draw the Gina Carano and Chris Cyborg parallels, right? You could even have Gina in the building, Mike. Imagine they invite Gina Carano front row seat to watch and interview, like have a whole Gina Carano thing where there's like interviewing her and like, oh yes, when I fought Chris, I never thought this would happen, blah, blah, blah. I think getting Chris Cyborg involved would be a bit trickier. Again, there's that beef sort of the UFC with Dana White.
Chris that would be there.
Cut the check. Oh, I don't even know if she's. I know she's working with PFL, and I don't know if PFL if they would have to sign off on something like that for her to make an appearance in that way. But I like to see. I think Joseph is a really good suggestion. Again, because there's no reason to say for pay-per-view anymore. What does that even mean? So I would love to see that featured on CBS because there is that history of them have really helping to push women's MMA forward. So yeah, that's gonna be cool.
I mean, that's where you do Tom Aspinall versus Derek Lewis, right there. Bam.
Perfect.
I mean, you could do that. I mean, you could. Kayla versus Amanda would be big, but I don't know if you want to use Kayla and Amanda like as the first of two title fights on the final pay-per-view to like help set the scene for January. I don't know. Do you do a title fight for the first fight night event? Is it at the Apex? Is it not at the Apex?
Please, can we please don't put on the Apex?
We're going to be at the Apex a lot more, I think. With this
God.
But I mean, if you look, Hunter Campbell's been saying they're like with this new renovation, they're planning to add like 5,000 to 10,000 more seats. So if that's the case, like I'm okay with this. Being at the world's most famous Apex, but doing the world's most famous Apex with 7 people in the building, watching Fluffy Hernandez emasculate another top 10 middleweight was not fun for me. Like the performance was fun, but seeing nobody like react to it was just silly. So
imagine being like a casual MMA fan and having not watched the event in years, and then you're like, "Oh, cool! It's on CBS. I'll check it out this week." And you see fighters fighting in an empty warehouse. You would be like, "What the?
So brutal."
You'd be like, "What the hell happened? Like, is COVID back?" That's what the first thing would be. Is there COVID back and no one told me? And they're hiding these fighters in a warehouse. Like, what is going on? So, I gotta hope that's not the case. We really don't need that to happen.
Let's see if there's anything else that we haven't really touched on here. What does Kevin Lee fit into this? I don't know.
I'll tell my cousin. I'll text him. I don't know. $7.7 billion, Mike.
That's a lot of money.
And that's the number they said they were going to get. I think Dana White and the TKO guys said multiple times, like that's what we're aiming at, $1 billion. And we never thought it was out of the realm of possibility. Like we said, yeah, they're going to get at least $1 billion. But to see it is still like crazy. Like even though we knew this is like a number they would get.
What fights won't be on CBS and Paramount? The Apex cards?
Apex? I don't know.
They are part of the package.
Yeah.
30 fight nights.
Yeah.
43 events.
They got to go somewhere. Go somewhere.
I guess the other thing I'm kind of surprised with, but maybe not, is that we didn't decrease the number of events. That is like that is like the biggest gripe from a lot of the fan base is just like, it's way too much, man. Like, it's just way too much. The roster's too big. There's not like UFC quality fighter. The definition of that has changed immensely over the years. And yeah, so we're still doing 43 cards. So the pace, the strength of schedule will not go down in any way, shape, or form. So there you have it. No tough yet. No contender series yet. Maybe we'll get some answers tomorrow as you watch the shows, right? When's tough air? Tonight or tomorrow?
Tuesday night at like 10 p.m. Eastern time, I think.
So you get contender series into Ultimate Fighter tomorrow?
Yes, because what?
Wow.
Series 8 to 10?
Yeah.
What a double whammy. What a double whammy of programming. Hey, Hulu, if you're out there, you could have both those programs for $150 million a year. Sign up. And you know what? Maybe Power Slap too. Maybe Power Slap too.
I truly am stunned that Power Slap is up.
Yeah, right? That would have been the perfect time. Because again, you're all, oh wow, I can't believe Power Slap got $1.1 billion a year. Like, oh God. Yeah. Oh, okay. This opportunity.
Okay. I think we're done. I think we've talked about everything we needed to talk about here. So thank you all very much. I appreciate you all. You guys are the best. As more news comes out from this, stick with us, MMAfighting.com. It's a great website. It's a terrific place to be. Check out the new and improved site where you could jump on the feed and you could literally go on the feed right now and write out essentially an article about how you feel about this and what this means for your life and what it could mean for the sport. Like you can literally put 1,000 words on there if you'd like. So head to MMAfighting.com. Let your voices be heard. Appreciate all the great questions. Appreciate all the super chats. And it's going to be a big week, everybody. UFC 319 going down this Saturday in Chicago. We get Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. We get the UFC debut of Aaron Pico and a whole bunch more. And yeah, just stick with us. What a time it is. What a start to the week. And we'll see you guys later on for AKI and Mike Heck. Peace out, everybody. Godspeed.